All right, it is 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Mr. or Mrs. Hacker, which one? Will you lead us in opening prayer?
Sure. Well, Lord Jesus, we just come to you tonight, just asking for wisdom, Father. Your word says, wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. And Lord, we just pray that there would be liberty, starting with our local government here in Kingman, and then expanding out into the state government, into the federal government, Father, that liberty would truly be for us. Lord, we ask you that you give these leaders of ours wisdom, that they would make right choices, and that choices would be straight from your throne room and from your wisdom only, Lord. We just give you thanks for our community of Kingman. Just thankful for all the things that we have here, and just the beautifulness of fellowship of families, Lord, and we just thank you for it so much. And I just ask for that wisdom in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First up on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or changes?
I would like to take the fire protection contracts out for discussion, and then add to the new business the time change discussion. I think that probably needs to be on
It's
To
on
new
old
business.
business. You want to do new business?
I think we were gonna talk about it under old business to get a consensus and then bring an ordinance or
Okay.
change back.
Yep, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. That'll work.
Okay.
All right, so just to pull the fire protection contracts
Okay.
out.
Anyone else, any additions or changes? With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, moving the fire protection contracts out.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded to approve the consent agenda without those fire protection contracts. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
I believe this was the agenda we're approving first.
You are right. This was new since we had the consent agenda and then.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're right.
I wasn't
You are
catching.
absolutely right. Thank you. So, with those changes, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. Now on to the consent agenda, minus that fire protection contracts.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus the fire protection contracts.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. All right, on to the fire protection contracts.
So reviewing the fire protection contracts, just to get a little extra context, I did read through each one of the contracts, and I don't know the history of them, so I'm going to lean into the city on the history. Are we raising those rates with inflation? Are they consistent rate over time? What were they last year? What were they a year or two ago?
They were the same rate as last year. And
Okay.
beyond that, I'm not sure. I think these have been in place, at least I could find, at least back to 2018, 2019, something like that. And my thought is that if the city is looking at increasing that, it needs to be communicated to those townships ahead of their budget process. And so therefore, we just put it on with the same rate as last year, so.
I feel like we did raise the rate last year. No?
No, I don't think we
thought we
did.
did.
At least I couldn't
No.
tell.
There was discussion about
Was there? Okay. I was gonna say, I knew there was something last
So
year.
that was really, if there is some conversation about that, it really needs to be presented to them. As we do our budget, they'll do their budget, so they have time for that. And I don't know a lot of history there, but this is a really good deal, I think, for the city. It really is for our fire department. That's what, 60-some thousand dollars worth of money that comes to the city for that. And we're providing the service, obviously, but
Right. My concern around that is that our costs are going up with inflation.
Yeah.
And if we don't continue to raise their costs, we're going to be in the same situation we were with the water rates over a number of years.
and I think that's something that we talk about when we start looking budgets and really be able to, we got to make a mental note of that, to communicate that with the fire, with the townships, later this spring, so they can be prepared for that. And there'll have to be some conversation with them as to why, and we can certainly make that happen, so. But for this year, we're just presenting them, and really, these should have been probably approved back in December. And we've already got payment from one of the townships for the amount, I don't remember which one it was, but, and actually waiting on them to get signatures back on these, but I wanted to go ahead and get it approved here. They'll approve them, and then we'll be done with it, so.
Okay. And one thing that I did notice in the Nenasko Township Fire Protection Contract on page 42, there may be a typo there that we are on item number 5, where we're providing 2025 firefighting services. That may need to be adjusted.
Oh, that's probably me when I made the amendments. Give me a second here. That's on the Nenasko.
Yes, page 42.
Okay. And where was that at, Commissioner?
Number 5,
Number 5. Well,
where it says 2025 firefighting services. On the other
Oh, it's 20.
contracts, it said 26.
Yeah, I'll,
So just
we'll
something
make
that
that
caught my
amendment,
eye.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, considering the budgetary constraints that those other communities are facing, I just think that that's probably something we need to discuss as we move into the next budgetary cycle. So I'll move forward to approve that with the change to 2026 on the Nenasko Township Fire Protection, item number 5.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the fire protection contracts. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All right, on to number 5, public comment. Mr. Les Swing. You can have a seat, and we have a microphone ready for you.
Appreciate that. I want to visit with you all about the tank. I know there's been a lot of discussion in the community, and I've done some research. I don't know how much you all have done, but I have found suppliers for the type of paint that needs to be used. I talked to a restoration specialist who works for the Nimitz Foundation in Fredericksburg, Texas. They do restoration work for the World War II Pacific Theater Museum. So it's a credible source, and I do have the information on the websites for where to order that paint. As I've talked to several people about this, finish on that tank now, I would call it burnished. In other words, it's got kind of a gloss. There is no appreciable surface rust. So it would still require immediate blasting to rough that surface up to paint it. And to do that, you'd also have to remove, I believe it's 4 track shoes on each side of the tank. media blasting can be accomplished, and then the paint would have to be sprayed on. It cannot be rolled or brushed. My suggestion is that any movement to paint the tank be tabled until such time as paint can be donated from one of these companies, or funds can be raised to purchase the paint, and also hire a professional to media blast it, mask it, and then paint it. And pending your questions. If there's any further discussion, we'd be glad to be put on the agenda for the next meeting, and I can get into greater depth as to repairs that the tank requires and anything in regards to, I know there was talk of using it for a salute for the 4th of July. The main gun is plugged. I've been inside of it. The breech is not functional, so I can't even slide it to see if the fire pin is intact. So, that's one reason why it probably wouldn't happen. The other is that it's full of wasp nests. I mean, it's
You don't want to blast that.
big balls of mud in there, so. Anyway, if we can get on the agenda next meeting, if you've got further questions or would like to know more, I'd be more than happy to visit with you about it.
I appreciate you coming in. Let me tell you, your name came up several times a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this, so I appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Next up on the agenda is Baja Barajas. Did I get that right this time?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, on public comment still.
Evening.
Good evening.
Just wanted to follow up with you guys, see if anybody has come up with an update on the trailer for the Avenue G speed zone, or racetrack as it's being called.
I do. Yeah, we've been in communication, the chief has, with the emergency management people over at the county. And the repair to their equipment has not been made yet. And so in the meantime, we've been having some patrol out there. I don't know, I can't tell you if we've written any tickets, but we have been out there. So, and until we get that trailer, and what that trailer does, it actually will give us speed counts. And we need that to be accurate in terms of what is actually happening out there. So we don't own one, and we're kind of at the mercy of the county when they get that repaired. And I just talked to the chief a little bit ago, and so we'll follow back up on that. But in the meantime, that's what we can only do is patrol.
Okay. I went up and down the road and talked to several neighbors, and myself plus several, I mean, there's several spots that they could actually sit and catch these guys. Everybody knows that if the police officers is patrolling, they slow down. But when they're out on the main roads, I mean, that's a racetrack and it's ridiculous. I've talked to chief and everything. I don't know how the policies go, but there's several that would love for a police officer to sit in their property, sit back a little bit, and you're going to catch people. It's a guaranteed. I had several questions. One was that you just answered. What's the actual purpose of the trailer? Because I know there's 3 different versions of those trailers. One just tells you, hey, you're speeding.
Well,
And there's some that actually collect data.
yeah, and there's benefit to both. I mean, we've all seen your speed signs, and we hit the brakes. But more importantly, I think for decisions on whether there's any traffic control needed or anything like that, you need traffic counts and speed counts. I think, Chief, does this do speed count?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
and we've actually had it audit areas
Yeah.
before, such as Broadway.
So it's very valuable information, and sometimes it tells you, it paints the true picture of really what's going on. So, but until we have that, and obviously the city doesn't have one, but as soon as we get it, we'll get it out there.
Yeah. It was brought to my attention, not to my attention, but we're out trying to clean up the area, make a house a home, and as it's getting warmer, people are starting to walk up and down Avenue G, which is great. People are getting out, but when I'm over there raking my yard and I hear this, And then someone that was actually walking down the road goes, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
I mean, it's just waiting to happen. We already know it is. And so that's why I'm pursuing this. And then I guess I could ask you or Chief them, I come home a lot in the evenings, and I know the gentlemen sit right there as you come into town, where it drops to 40 mile an hour. One of the neighbors that I talked to actually asked, would it be possible for the police to sit, instead of with the evenings there, could they sit on that road, not just patrol, but actually sit on Avenue G somewhere for one night instead of all the nights on the main road? And I didn't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I think that's possible, yeah, yeah.
Because you're going to write the same amount of tickets, I guarantee it. And then I guess the other part, I was trying to follow up myself, but what all procedures have to take place before something like stop signs could be placed in? Obviously, you need traffic
Well,
data, but I mean, is that something that has to be a request, a petition?
I think, generally, there's a uniform traffic code and there's a uniform traffic warrants about when stop signs are needed, when stoplights are needed. I don't know that the city here has had much activity with that, but typically that's what those studies tell you is that, the 95 percentile is within the speed. So but you're going to have 5% that may not be within that, and you probably don't make a change in traffic flow just because of that. And I'm not a traffic engineer, so I'm probably speaking out of school. But it is helpful information, I think, to really get a picture because, until you see what's going on in hours you're not there, it's hard to really get a good picture. And I think that trailer would really help with that, or the mechanism. So,
Right.
yeah. So it can be used for the commission to make a decision and get a recommendation on, what traffic enforcement or what traffic control would need to be in place. Because there's a stop sign on one side, right?
Correct.
Going north-south.
Coronado,
Coronado,
north and south.
yeah. So
But it's the coming off the hill, coming off of G Avenue as that decline.
coming east or
East and
east
west.
and west.
7 blocks of no stop sign.
Yeah. Because it's a through street.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said, I went and just talked to different neighbors and asked them, and it's been, I don't have any reference, being that I'm new to town, but they've said it's been something that's been mentioned off and on for like over 30 years. I don't have any information on that unless I was to go back through stuff, but
Yeah.
this is just what I'm seeing and what the neighbors are saying now. And so,
Yeah. Understand.
I have a question. So do we not have one functioning trailer now, or do we just not have one for that location?
We've never had
don't
a
have
traffic
one.
trailer.
Okay,
It's always either belonged to the sheriff's office or emergency management.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Like the one that was up on the highway, that belonged to the sheriff.
That's what I was wondering. I thought I saw one not too long ago. Are we able to borrow that?
Yes.
Potentially? Okay.
Yeah,
That's what we're trying to get, once they get, I think they've got a battery issue there. Repaired, yeah.
That's where we're at.
I can say the last time we used it was when there was concerns at Broadway Park.
Yeah.
We had set it there.
So, but it would be helpful to get it, and that'll tell us a lot, so. But in the meantime, Chief will look at, moving those officers around a little bit.
okay. I mean, we clean out an area over there from debris and everything, and there's a perfect hiding spot. It's right there on the road, but it's between my property and somebody else's. When we cleaned it out, I parked a truck there to get debris, and there's like, if they sit right here, no one would ever know they're here until they need to put on lights. But even just my thoughts of, if the word gets out that, hey, they're giving tickets on this road now, that might be all it takes to
Yeah,
stop the stupidity, in my opinion. Anybody else have anything or questions, concerns, or?
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, still on public comment, Darlene Redden.
I don't know exactly what to do about this, but there's been a lot of discussion about the 3% that's being charged by the city for the utility bills on the debit cards specifically. I know that with all the research that I've done on this, I know the government entities have some leeway and you don't exactly fall under the Durbin Amendment. But if we are supposed to be being pushed towards a cashless society, getting slapped every time we use electronic cash it's going to create a hell of an uproar. There's a lot of people in this town that are handicapped or restricted that have a hard time coming down to pay their bill. We personally are on that list, have a neighbor that's on that list. And it's becoming a problem, especially since Kansas Bank sold out and a lot of us had checks under Kansas Bank. And we've never renewed them thinking that we were okay with the debit cards not being charged or a minimal charge like we've been paying over at the tag office and such for like 75 cents for a debit card. And if you use a credit card, 3%, that's pretty standard. But if we are being charged by our processing company for the city, 3% on debit cards, maybe we ought to start looking at a processing company that doesn't charge that on debit cards. Because according to the Durbin Amendment of 2010, I know private companies aren't allowed to charge anything on debit cards. And charging the same amount from the city as a credit card for a debit card, it's becoming a problem. Everybody wants a slice of the pie, but our pie is not getting any bigger and the slices are getting a whole lot smaller. So it's starting to raise concern among the community.
Do we have any numbers behind what we pay for those transactions, those credit card or debit card
Well,
transactions?
From my understanding, and I think this was an issue back in November, because the city attorney at the time provided, I don't know, somebody, maybe the commission at the time, a description, and it's Bluefin is a company, it's a third party, and they charge 2.5%, and it's a pass-through.
Right.
And the other option is that the city would pay that.
Right.
And so, it's a service that the city has, and there's a protection factor in that too for whoever's using a credit card too. So, but they handle all card and e-check transactions on behalf of the city. I don't know how long we've been with Bluefin. I think that's the name of the company, but so apparently this has been talked about before because there was some, concern that it was illegal, and it certainly is not illegal. So.
It's a straight pass-through cost.
Straight pass-through, yes.
Yeah, the only ones that are allowed to do that is the government, because all private entities aren't allowed to charge anything on the debit cards.
Well, I think it's important the city is not charging it. It's the credit card processor that charges it. The city sees no money from this at all.
Yeah,
And
I understand that.
I also want to say that one of the discussions that we had when this was put in place is the municipal court fees. There are a lot of people that pay that are not from Kingman, and we were not charging them or passing this cost through. So the city taxpayers were footing that bill for everyone not even in the city. And I don't feel like that's my responsibility to pay somebody from Wichita if they got a court cost, that our taxpayer dollars have to go for that.
Right.
And I think one of the things that we have to realize is I know you said there's hardships coming down every time, but we can do ACH payment, which will just take it out of your account every month. Plus we have the night deposit, and we have, you can come down and pay by check as well. So there is different options to not pay that fee.
Right. I totally understand that, and that's part of the reason why I brought this up. There are people that have a hard time getting out and getting their bill paid. And we have had that same problem ourselves. So it's just something that we might want to look to see if there's other options that the debit cards aren't being hit with as much of the fees. Because it's standard and it's legal for the credit cards to be hit with a 3%, 4%, I think is the max that they're allowing on those. But the debit cards are supposed to be electronic cash. And if we're trying to go to a cashless society, we can't keep up with this, you know what I mean?
One way to look around, get some bids from different processors. And I don't know if that
Bluefin is the proprietary link to our billing system. It's the whole utility billing system is built upon that one.
I'll let mine down at the store, but I'm pretty sure we get charged for debit cards as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same as credit card or if it's different. We just changed processors, so as cheap as I can get it, we just went through this. I'll do some checking to see if we're getting charged there too, but I think we are. So.
Well, that's all I needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it.
All right, on to 6A, ordinance 2154, water rates.
Okay, Mayor and Commission, this is really a follow-up to our discussion at the last commission meeting when we talked about the water and sewer rate analysis, which we talked about back in January as well. So you've had plenty of discussion on this, and the consensus was at the last meeting to proceed with the water rate increases as noted in the ordinance in the agenda. The ordinance was prepared by the city attorney, but in 26, the 55% increase followed by 3% increases all the way through 2030. And that ordinance reflects that and is ready for commission action.
Any discussion? We wanted to make sure that you had a chance to look at this too, Commissioner McFarland, since you were not here at the last meeting.
This is kind of the same thing we talked about the meeting before that, I think.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to do that. Anyway around it.
I do have a question, not specifically about the water rates, but about the services. If we're talking about updating, the water rates and everything else, when was the last time we looked at what services cost? Has that been increased in a while, and are we losing money on that?
What do you mean?
Like putting in a new service for somebody, how much do we charge, and are we actually even breaking even on that?
I wouldn't.
I think that's something we need to look at.
I mean, if you just look at the analysis, you can see that the fund we were losing money
Right.
overall.
Right,
Now, whether specifically for that service, I don't know.
right, but I think that's something that we should look at. I mean, it might help.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to lose money just because we're putting in a service for somebody,
suspect-
charging 500 and it costs 1,000 or something like that.
I would suspect that our fees, whatever they are, haven't been touched there either.
I think we need to look at that across the board, not just water, but any fees that we charge. Sorry, I took us kind of down something else. Any other discussion on 2154?
Just to clarify from our previous meeting, like, I know we're setting the rate for 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, that's listed here. But we have the option to review this a year from now, 2 years from now, and make any adjustments as necessary, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Well, with that, I would make a motion to approve ordinance 2154. No rush, though, I know. I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Got a second.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Twice.
Sorry, I did not hear you say that. All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2154 for the water rates. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Ordinance 2155 for sewer rates.
Yeah, Mayor and Commission, this again is a reflection of our your previous discussions, raising sewer rates. They were at actually lesser percentage than what was recommended in the study. We talked about that at the last meeting. 2026 at 5%, followed by the next 4 years at 4%. I think in my memo I had 2029, but it's actually 2030 as well. So, and again, those can be looked at each year.
Move for approval of ordinance 2155 as printed. I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2155 for sewer rates. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. On to ordinance 2156, non-resident connections to water utility.
Mayor, Council, I'm going to let the city attorney explain why we're doing this as a separate ordinance.
These two provisions are currently in the ordinances. But they were stuck in the rate portion of the ordinance where they don't really go. So while I was doing this, I thought we ought to clean it up. And so these are both non-resident customer things. So I'm just moving them to their own section. Those are verbatim in our code right now. This is just giving them their own section number so that it's not lost in the rate ordinance. But that's currently where they're at, is in the rate ordinance.
Can you give me an example of a non-resident utility?
We've stopped, the commission a few years ago stopped doing non-residents,
Okay,
but we do still have some non-residents that are connected to the city system.
got it.
They pay a higher
Pay a higher
water
fee,
rate.
and that's in the previous ordinance. They pay a higher fees than the local residents do.
Okay, thank you.
But these are verbatim. They're in there right now. This is just simply moving them to their own section so that it's not confused with rates, because these really don't deal with rates.
Does it say what the percentage is? It's a percentage.
They were all raised by the same amount. And if you look on that previous ordinance,
And that was in the ordinance?
Yes.
The rate was in the ordinance, okay.
yes, they were not currently non-residents pay more
Right.
than residents.
So the percentage.
Yes.
When I was outside, I think it was like 10% or something.
Yeah, it's a specific dollar amount, but Beth did the calculations to increase everything that you approved. So everything's had the same increases across the board,
So they still pay more than non-residents?
quite a
Yes.
bit more.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is just a cleanup. I just thought it was the thing to do while we were there.
Move to approve ordinance 2156.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2156, non-resident connections to water utility. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, on to new business, 7A, street ceiling RFP.
Mayor and Commission, this is the annual process you go through, an RFP for our street ceiling program for 2026. And I'll just remind you that the 2026 budget, we have $80,000 budgeted for that. And the proposed streets being proposed for this year's program are Riverside Park, Walnut Cemetery, and an alternate, it would include Marquette south of Highway 54 and Highway 54 to East C to include E and D Avenue. And I should note that Riverside Park and Walnut Cemetery were in the RFP last year as an alternate if there was additional money, and there was not. And so they didn't get done in 2020. So.
I do have a question on this. What we did last year, what we have finally approved was the chip seal, right? Not the slurry.
Yes, yeah,
I know the RFP is for 2 options, and I know we went with the cheaper option last year. However, I live on the road with the chip seal, and I might as well live on a dirt road. I would very strongly suggest not doing chip seal. There are rocks everywhere. We have 9 kids, I think, on our block. They can barely walk on the street anymore because it's so pokey. Like, it's there's rocks now everywhere in the gutters, and it's just not as good, in my opinion.
So we'll have that option, yeah.
So do we need a motion, or is this just saying that?
I think a motion to just approve putting the
The RFP.
RFP out as presented, yeah.
And so I'm not understanding the Marquette. So Marquette Street south of the highway and Highway 54 to East C to include E and D Avenue? How's that read?
It's probably.
Or is that East D Avenue? So East
Carrie,
D
you wanna,
goes,
is that East D?
South Marquette, south of 54, it combines the intersections of East D, which goes towards C5 to Dirt. The next street would be Senna Avenue, and it also includes that intersection. So just trying to get it in one piece. They missed it a few years ago, so we're just trying to catch up on that bit.
I'll make a motion that we approve the memorandum
RFP.
RFP.
I gotta ask, like, how are we prioritizing which roads are being worked on?
Well, I've got a list. I mean, I've seen it. It's not in the packet, but Carrie can probably address that to a better degree. But there's a list that goes back, I don't know how far, but
Absolutely, I have printouts of it.
you might just talk to that. She came prepared.
They're on a rolling list. The ones that are getting it now, Kelly and West Wallace, which are newly milled roads, got the sealing that should have been done last year. So when you put something in the rotation and something gets kicked out. So, let's see. Riverside, was it 2019? Yeah, Riverside was 2019 and Walnut Hill was 2020. So we're just trying to get them back in rotation.
About a 5-year, what's your rotate roughly?
Yeah, it should be about
4 or 5
At
years.
least two
Yeah.
got pushed back a little bit, so, yeah.
Well, and I guess that's where my question kind of goes is it based on traffic flow on the rotation? So if there's less
Condition
traffic?
of the road, so we'll go out and look at the roads. If one is a like spider web or eggshell,
Okay.
it gets put ahead of it.
So these are based on road inspections then?
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah. Well, they're on rotation, but we do inspect the roads
Okay.
when we're out every day, so.
And in the rotation, because we've already delayed some of what should have been done in the past, are we kind of snowballing some things that need to be done in the immediate future? Or are those roads holding up outside of their rotation because we pushed them back?
Anytime you extend a rotation, it's gonna be snowballed, so.
Yeah.
Um,
say.
Like right now in Riverside, we've got potholes at Walnut Hill. So we'll have to mend the roads before we even seal them this year. So, yeah,
And if we allocate 80,000 every year, we're gonna get less done probably every year as the cost of, it goes up. And this year, with everything that's going on in the country, I expect you guys know more about oil prices and probably, but, we could see some issues there.
Well, yeah, so are we so far behind that 80,000 isn't covering the repairs that we need?
well, what we allocate for street sealing is a lot of our budget on that part of it, but in order to keep a revenue neutral rate, we have to make some cuts in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only other really source of street improvement money is the special street fund, which is gas tax money, but most of that right now is earmarked for our matching funds on the KDOT highway projects, 3 of them. So, once that's all done, but that's, down the road a little bit, there could be some additional monies to put into this type of program, so.
any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. Who seconded that? I thought John did. Did he not? I apologize. I thought you did second that.
To the RFP.
Yeah, Merlin made the motion.
Well, I got
Yeah.
that one, but then I think.
Sorry,
was
I
second.
apologize. I thought that you had already seconded that. Man, I'm struggling tonight.
You've had a lot.
All right, 7B, Carr Estate Settlement.
This is bringing to a conclusion something the commission authorized a couple of years ago for the property at 737 North Elm. The owner died, there was no probate, the property remains in the deceased owner's name. The city has nobody to serve with anything to force them to clean it, so this is the second or third time we've initiated proceedings in probate court to do a determination of descent to get the property into a living person's hands, or in the alternative, to get it to the city so we can take care of it and get it back. Generally, we put it in the land bank, and then the land bank tries to revitalize it or sell it. We did that one time where we made pretty good money off of the one off of Broadway, but this is to settle. The heirs have been found. They've all signed. This settlement agreement will get the land eventually to the city and then eventually to the land bank, and then it can be cleaned and, dealt with. And so this settlement agreement is going to be filed with the court, and the two heirs have signed, and the city needs to sign that it's in agreement with this, since we are the petitioners in the determination of descent proceeding.
So are you requesting approval to,
Sign the settlement agreement.
well, it says in here to publish 3 consecutive weeks in the local newspaper. Is that
That's
process
part of,
begun?
that's part of what I have to do, just to get it. The statute requires when there's real estate transaction involved,
Okay.
you have to publish the notice of hearing 3 consecutive times. This is just to settle, the city to sign the settlement agreement. That's the action I need.
Move we sign it.
I'll second this. It's been approved a long time coming for this piece of property.
All right, we have a motion and a second to sign the Carr Estate Settlement Agreement. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, on to 7C, demolition bids for 602 North Coronado.
Did y'all get a chance to look at them?
Yes.
What do you think?
There's one that's exorbitant.
Yeah, it was kind of.
Well, that one, he was gonna build a house on it afterwards.
I guess. If that's the case, maybe, but
I was
holy
gonna call
moly.
him and say, are you building a house on it too?
I don't know. I mean, I did have opinions about the other three, but I'm sure we'll go with B4. I talked to him. He's sure he can handle the job. He said, now there might be a little tree damage to a couple of the trees because they're hanging out over the house. And so he said he may have to cut some limbs, but he said he'd haul those off. And he knows it's just the house and the foundation, not cleaning the lot. I like the other two bids after that. I'm kind of like, Stuckey Excavating is the one doing the burn down house. And I'd like to just keep it local, and I mean, Hackers do a great service too. I'm like, well, maybe they can have a shot at the next one, since it's gonna have a lot of trees that need to be removed off the car place, so.
I know I've brought this up before, and I saw this RFP go out. What is the appetite for the city to do this demolition as well? Because I know we had talked about trying to get the city crews to do that, to maybe save some money there too.
I don't know how often the city's done that,
We
but
haven't.
yeah, it's a little rare for that to happen, you know, crews and equipment and time and taken away from other things, but, I think demoing houses is the way we do it, is the way most communities do it, is bid it out, and to be honest with you, we've got a couple people right in the area that are, you know, giving us some pretty good bids, I think, when you look at.
I agree. I was just, I mean, I know we had talked about it in the past, about maybe doing that.
Ones we had lined up to do that, all of them, but this one, I think, did what they were supposed to do. So we had like 6 of them, and the other 5, I think, resolved their issues, so.
Okay.
My question would be, did you walk the site with each of these bids, or they just had an address?
I didn't with Hackers. I did with Steven and
Did you?
Steven Stuckey, and of course, I didn't even know when the Wichita guy was in town. He just asked for the address, and
Well, and so we mentioned the local, so the B4 is from where? It has a Delaware.
from here,
address.
Wade Bore,
Right, okay, that's Wade Bore.
from up on Delaware
And so
Street.
then my question became, the 7,500 from Wade, and then on Stuckey, what I was reading on Stuckey, and the reason I wanted to talk about how much you walked through the site, he talks about the railroad tie embankment on the west of the structure, and so he has some additional work as far as the grounds to include that.
Now, that's on the east side.
And I wondered that,
Yeah.
the street side
Yeah,
is west.
Yeah, it's on the east side where it butts up against Mr. Meisenheimer's
Never looked back there.
property back there.
Well, how significant of a drop off? What are we talking about?
It's probably 4 to 6 feet.
And so
But
the
it's-
others aren't doing anything with that, right?
No, and he shouldn't either, but I gave him the packet and he said he read it, and I'll just submit what I think needs. And he'll submit what he thinks needs to be done. And if there's something we missed, but I told him, I said, this one's different because we as the city or the land bank don't own this property, so there's limited things we can do with it.
Okay, good point.
That is an important point. The structure was condemned, and we are taking down the structure that was condemned. So it is just the house that we're dealing with.
So the cost of this will get added back to the taxes?
It will get the taxes, I believe, have been paid. When this tax bill comes around, I'm not so sure,
Yeah.
but Zach will ultimately, there's a statutory procedure. Once the invoice is in, I believe he sends it out and they've got 30 days to pay. If they don't pay, then he certifies it to the county clerk for inclusion on the tax rolls.
That being the case, since that is the low bid, that is specific to the work we need to be done, I would move for approval of the B4 bid, in the amount of $7,500.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the bid from B4 Services. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
We're cleaning it up.
All right, old business, 8A, commission meeting time change.
All right, so this is continuing discussion from last week. Commissioner McFarland was out, so we delayed a vote, but I'd like to put this to a vote to move the start time from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the city commission meeting. That would better accommodate those that are in attendance from both the city and the public, and I'll just put that to a vote. And after review of the ordinance, there was no time listed in the ordinance, so I don't think that there's any adjustment that needs to be made. We can move it, we can test it, we can see how it fits. If we need to adjust, we can do that in the future as well. But from this point forward, we would move it to 6 p.m. until further notice.
I think one thing that we do have to consider, and we talked about this last time, I think too, is the utility hearings on that fourth Thursday. which I'm fine moving them. I'm fine moving them up. I'm fine moving them to a different day. I definitely think we're going to have to give the public grace for first couple months because it will be a change. It's been this way for so long. But something that I had brought up to John maybe before this meeting is I know we now have a sign up for taxi services rather than them calling every day. Could it be that we have a sign up for utility hearings? And the reason I'm asking this is because the mayor comes and sits here at 6 o'clock. Sometimes they sit here just to sit here because nobody's here. Or sometimes there's 5 or 6 or 7. So I think it would better help the mayor's time, not having to just sit here for nobody if we didn't have anyone. And the city utility, they would not have to stay as well. Yeah.
Couldn't we put out a notice with the electric bill or something? You need to
Oh,
sign up for
agreed, yeah.
utility or-
I think maybe something to look into.
Is that established by anything other than just policy?
No, it's an ordinance.
It's an ordinance, so, okay.
And that is in the ordinance. It is the second Thursday, or, I'm sorry, the fourth Thursday of the month. That is in the ordinance.
Does it give a time on that? Do you recall?
I don't remember if there's a time, but I know it's, and it also indicates, you need to check at holidays because it always hits Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So we could look to amend that to go to the
Even if we do
5
5
o'clock and,
I think that would work.
yeah.
Just move it up an hour. But I would love to look into signups. I think that would help.
Yeah.
We will not have to make any changes to the ordinance
Don't
at the
think
city
so.
meeting
I
time.
don't, I was surprised at time, I don't believe it's.
Was in there, yeah.
I'll just say, Travis talked to me about it the other night, and I said I thought I could probably make it. Not sure I can. I have trouble getting here at 7 tonight. And there'll be some, if I have to work out of town, I won't be able to get here till at least 7 probably. I've been pushing to get Harper closed and get, or Jeannie either one, and get here by 7. So, but I'll do whatever. I'll make my best attempt if you guys want to move it to 6.
John, I know you had a comment a couple weeks ago.
Would you like me to repeat it?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I think when we run for elected office, whether county commission meets on Monday morning, John Mullen will never run for that because he has a business that he runs those times. And when I run for school board, I know that it's going to be once a month at 7 p.m. And when I run for city, I know it's 7 p.m. on these second and fourth Thursdays. So I can make it work in my life. I like having that break in between work and coming here. So I'll vote against it, but I also will be here at 6 and make it work in my life, and it's fine.
I have one comment on that because of when we run, it's not a full commission every time. It's staggered, the 2-year versus 4-year and all of that. So it's always going to be at 7 until something changes. And then the next person will be like, oh, I'm running and now it's 6. You see what I'm saying?
No, not really. I mean, if we're going to change the time, to me, you would do it going into an election season, so you know what you're signing up for. But yeah, if somebody's going to.
Yeah, so, yeah.
It'll be midterm for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
I'll just say, I don't know, it's been 7, ever since I can remember when I've been in town.
It was in the afternoon when I first got here.
Was it?
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
But it's been 7 for a long time.
Yeah, and why it was 7, I don't know.
So we're meeting up there, yeah, that was
This
during
is-
workday at times, wasn't it?
Well, not, when I started coming to the meetings, when I got interested in maybe being on a commission, it was at 9, or I would have been there, because I worked there.
It was been 7 for a long, long time.
20 some odd years at least.
Change is good sometimes.
any other discussion? I myself, I would love to be 6 o'clock because getting out of here sometimes at 9:30, 10:30 at night is hard, and then you have to go home and then try and wind down after it.
Winter months is when the 6 o'clock would really, rather happen.
Yeah.
Do whatever.
Well, I don't know that I need to put mine into motion, but that's my suggestion. And if we can,
Motion, get a second, we'll vote on it.
okay, I'll make the motion to vote for the move from 7 PM to 6 PM. And see if there's a second.
Effective when?
Next meeting. I would say the next meeting.
Is that
I would suggest at least April, because we're gonna have to do something about utility hearings too.
And the utility meetings is next.
I would agree, but
Next Thursday.
yeah, it's next Thursday.
Okay. The next. Okay.
Yeah, give him.
Yep.
And
That makes
that one's
sense.
probably gonna require some ordinance work, probably.
Yeah.
But I'll have to look.
Okay. Then that makes sense. I would make the motion to start in April. First meeting of April.
All right, there is a motion and a second to move the commission meeting time from the second and fourth Thursday at 7 PM to the second and fourth Thursdays at 6 PM. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes 3-2. With that change, I know it's not on the agenda, but I think we need to add to the agenda to talk about utility hearings with this change, especially if it's going to be ordinance work. Can we do that?
Well, just give me a consensus. If you just want to move it an hour early, then I can see what needs to be done ordinance-wise, and I can have something at the next meeting.
I think that works at least for now.
Do you need something in the ordinance about having a sign up or something?
I think we can.
I don't think that's necessary, yeah, but I'll look, because
You can just make that a policy.
I'll
I
just-
think that's a good
We can
idea.
get that information out.
Have an appointment to do it.
but I'll look at it and see. If it is, then we can figure that out, but if your consensus is an hour before, then I can just see what we need to do, ordinance-wise.
And so from an anecdotal standpoint, I'm gonna ask Betsy, since you've done a lot of these over the years. So you guys work till 5:30 anyway. We'd rather have it front end loaded when we, on these time slots, are you thinking 10 minutes each? No, do you know? But why not have slots and we could actually have people go home at 5:30?
Yeah.
We have to cover it.
Right.
I like the idea of the time slots. We've all sat here. I bring a newspaper.
Zach created the bus thing. He might be able to do something with that.
Yeah.
For signups.
Yeah.
You just have to see it from Zach.
Well, a lot of times it's probably a communication with billing clerks and people are telling you, hey, we can't, well, you can come to a hearing and you got to sign up, and so,
That's why I drew Betsy in. I wanted to ask you exactly
Yeah.
that. So is it kind of a last minute for people, or did they
A lot
mention?
of times they are.
Yeah.
When they sign the Emercy extension, we anticipate them attending, and then they pay and they don't come. So, I mean, that's also the other thing is that even though they fill out that Emercy extension, we don't know if they're gonna come or not.
yeah.
So, it's a gamble. I mean, it's a gamble.
Want to be a lot of repeat customers, so there's some training in it as well.
Sure, sure.
Like I said, I think at least for a few months, we'll have to give them a grace and be like, reminder, we need to sign up now, those kind of things, but I think
It took about
going
a year
forward.
for the utility hearings, because we started that at 19, I think. 18 or 19, yeah.
Okay. All right, so I think you have consensus, is that correct? To move those up to 5? Okay. All right, 8B, unpaved roads update.
Okay, Mayor and Commission, this has been a topic since I've been here. And been given a lot of thought, and Carrie and I have spent a lot of time talking about it. And part of the challenge was looking at how we if we were to go down that path, how we prioritize those streets, dirt streets, to be in the paving rotation, if you will. And, you know, I have thoughts, Carrie has thoughts. I mean, I would rely on Carrie, and I even had a conversation with is Bruce, our grader guy today. He was in City Hall, just kind of ask him a little bit of something this. But I really wanted to kind of mention tonight, I think it's more important for you as a body to determine that you're going to allocate X amount of dollars towards that effort in 27. And then we can prioritize and we can bring street. I mean, I don't know how much good it does to me to come with you, well, we should do this street, do that street, if there's no money. And so that's my thought tonight on this discussion is for the commission to decide, as I mentioned earlier, we've got $80,000 in our street budget for millings. That's it. Street improvers, special street money is really allocated towards the KDOT projects for the next couple of years anyway. And, you know, I think Carrie and I'm going to let Carrie, she can answer all the details, but, you know, if we were to do 2 blocks of dirt streets like we've done in the past, it could be $30,000 to $40,000 for a couple blocks. So if you want to do 4 blocks a year, then, you know, you've got to add another 80 grand to your operating budget. And you guys know your budget better than I do, but I know what a mill is valued at here. And there's going to be several mills to do that. And I think the other thing we've got to think about too, and Carrie, I've got a whole list, and I didn't put it in the packet, but of all the other street responsibilities we have with the street ceiling, we just talked about that. There's just a lot to consider here. And so it's hard for me to say we should do this street, and that street until I know there's money, there's money there. So that's going to be really up to the commission as a whole to decide if this topic is worth considering further. The other thing on dirt streets, and Carrie's got some background on work we're doing on existing dirt streets to improve them, the drainage, so there'll be a better dirt street if there is such a thing. So, anyway, there's a lot to this to unpack, and that's why I don't want to sit here and say we should do this street, and get everybody all excited we're going to do that when you guys and the commission hasn't even allocated any money to it. So with that, I'll let the commission discuss, and we'll go from there. And Carrie can.
I did make copies of the list, if you don't need.
That's an extensive list. I got, yeah, go ahead and pass it out.
While she's passing that out, I do want to say one of the things that I agree with Leslie about last time when she spoke in public comment is the specials that people pay on their house when it goes into putting in curb and guttering in streets. And otherwise, we're just saying, yep, we're just going to do this for this street. I think there is something to say there when it's the homeowners that are paying for that street. But on the flip side, I can also see if it's an impassable dirt road, like Wetzel, and then that hill going up, was it Elm or Grant or whatever it is?
Grant.
Like I couldn't even get up, like I said last time, I couldn't even get up. We had to put it in 4-wheel drive on a dry day. But I think there is something to say, Laura. I think something has to be done to improve those roads if they're just bad roads. You know what I mean?
You're talking about dirt roads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Carrie and I have talked about that, and there's some thoughts on what we can do to improve drainage on some of those that would help them, but they're not going to be paved. They're still going to be dirt roads, so, yeah.
Which fund does this come out of? Which fund number? I'm just curious.
It's a general fund out of the street department, yeah, general fund. And then
General
there's,
operating fund?
yeah, and then there's a special street budget, which is its own fund. And that's where the KDOT match money's at, but that's our gas money, so.
Okay, so for just for discussion, like I'm looking at what our actuals were for the general fund and the both revenue and expense and the variance in between and whether or not we have money to allocate towards, I guess then it would go to the street fund to make these street improvements, right? So our budget on the general fund in 2025, because we don't have final numbers for 2026, but our budget was we were going to spend $2.2 million. Our actual spend was $2.5 million, so we overspent in the general fund. Excuse me, let me step back here. So our budget for revenue was 2.2 million, and our fiscal activity for revenue was 2.5 million. So we brought in more than what we said we were going to bring in for the general fund. For the expense side, we spent, our budget, excuse me, our expense budget was 2.6 million, and we spent 2.5 million. So then we gained, again, just to recap, we brought in more money than we thought we would for the general operating fund. We spent less money than what we budgeted for, and we had a positive variance. So in opportunities like that, and I think that's why our budget means so much. We say that we only allocate $80,000, but clearly we have a surplus of money that we're not spending. Is there opportunity to send that to the streets to pave Kingman?
Well, yeah, and I think the real issue there is the general fund needs to have a fund balance at the end of every year. I mean, if we spent 100% of our budget and had no fund balance, there's no money to pay payroll in January because of tax statements. It's also a big issue for bonding.
Sure.
You know, for when we issue bonds, that we have a strong fund balance. So certainly you can, you know, when you budget, you can eat into some of that reserve.
Well, and that's something that I didn't mention here, and I don't have in front of me right now. I don't know what our reserve is, but I'm sure it's something that we could pull up. If you give me 5 minutes, I could pull it up. But on our current reserve for the general operating fund, do you have those numbers?
I think roughly $1.2 million or $3 million, maybe around there as a fund balance carryover in the general fund. I'm looking here at 26. I don't have the year end. I don't have that. I'm sorry. It would be in that ballpark.
I was going to say it would probably be in Zach's last report because he
Yeah,
provided some information there. And my point is, if we're bringing in more than we say we're going to, and we're spending less than we say we're going to, routinely year over year, we're building that reserve up. And if we have money to dedicate, which it sounds like we're already behind on our rotation, so we probably need to allocate more funds during the budgetary cycle. But going back to the statement that you had earlier of we need to allocate the number of funds, then we can prioritize the roads. Well, how many roads need immediate attention? And then that determines how deep we go into our reserves, right? It's kind of a catch-22. We need both together to determine where our best path forward. But we can start with knowing what needs attention now and then budget for it in this next year.
And by that, you mean paved roads, it's like our sealing program every year, dirt roads, the whole infrastructure.
Yeah, because we have $80,000 here. We don't know what the RFP is going to come back, right? Yeah. It could be less than that. That doesn't mean we're going to spend the full $80,000. So then do we have some other roads that are not on that list that we could allocate for to spend the full $80,000?
Well, we had two alternates, I think, on this RFP, right, Carrie?
Yeah, the rotation, the spreadsheet I gave you, we'll just pull another one out that could use it.
Okay, and one that we're also behind on? I mean, is that how we're,
It's
because
not-
we're playing behind?
It's not, I mean, they don't need to be sealed every year. So to give a few years between them is fine. But when you start going 5, 6, beyond that, then you're losing road surface.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but just getting that full scope of what we have ahead so we can build the proper budget and spend the full capability of that budget to address the public's needs, I think is important. And we're talking about adding on to it, right? If we're paving dirt roads, then it's going to cost more in the long run.
Right. You'll maintain those, just, yeah.
Right. If we're not concrete, if we do chip and seal, there's going to be stuff. But yeah, so we need to know what roads need attention to determine how we're going to budget. And then we may have to take some roads off the list because the budget can't afford it. I don't know.
If we have, say we spend everything on we don't spend everything on some other budgeted item. Can we move money, an underspend on a budgeted item to an overspend on another item, or do we have to wait till the next year to?
No, you could, within your general fund budget authority, if you have, typically you, like street department, another department, yeah, you would be able to do that, yeah. I think, Carrie can talk a little bit about dirt roads too, that, there's plans to, work some of those to improve drainage, like the mayor was mentioning earlier, and that's, additional work that we do in-house. I don't know how you value a dollar to that, but it is when you talk about extra, like we didn't spend all of our budget, we brought in, that's a good thing. It is.
Sure.
For financial stability of the city. And certainly you can look at that as we build a budget for 27, you build it up and there's usually a projected fund balance at the end of the year that you're going to carry over. And if you're comfortable carrying over a couple $100,000, then you can spend more money on some of these other things, but to me, that's not a comfort level I would have, but for our size city, so.
Carrie, can you explain the priority list? Like, looking at the street priority list, is this both things on Highway 54 is 1 and 2, and then Main Street, that's basically 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or because I see they're in different categories, but you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand how that goes.
Yeah, so there's the 2026. So the priority list, the 2026 list, I pulled items out of.
Okay.
Because there's only so much we can do.
Got it. So this is a full list. 2026 is just.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
And this may actually be out of reality as well, but we do have a crack seal machine. Highway 54 needs attention. We're losing it, especially out west past Douglas. So we have got to get some seal on those cracks. So we have got to move that up to the front. Okay. So if we're going to get our pot out and start melting chip or seal, we might as well do our drainage streets while we're at it. We know what happened on Sheraton, so we don't want to get to that point again. So I had to figure in all the different types of streets because that's what we take care of. And also I'm trying to, like if there's something a few of us could pull off on for an hour, great, we'll go do it. Or if we have a project, it's all hands on deck, I want to know that too. So they're kind of divided up. We've got some road collapses that are current that need to be addressed up on Spruce. That's a bad one, and everybody knows the 400 block of Spruce needs work. It has for a while.
Is that right there at the
Stoplight.
stoplight?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it seems easy to put it as a 1, 2, 3, but when you start looking at the city as a whole, you're like, oh my. So we have to really look at where we're going to spend our time.
Okay.
So I wish I could do 1, 2, 3, and it's a perfect world, and our schedule's going to just work out just right, but I can't do it. Okay. That would be a lie. So
That makes sense. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
And I would note too, because you and I talked about that in 26, is it 26? We're at 27 is the Abbey,
27, yeah, I'd like to
Abbey
budget
Road.
to fix Abbey Road. Mhm.
And that is a street that they paid to have done,
That's what I was understanding.
right?
Yes.
And so, and it failed, or it's failing.
Yes.
Miserably.
So,
To make a priority list for next year, I would think it would be a lot easier once we approve, say we approve an extra 75,000 or whatever in the budget for, besides the chip and seal. So then I think you could, that they as an employee can take that 75,000, where can we best use that money? I think that would make it, because like this year, we basically have nothing, or no money, so what do you do?
Yeah, I definitely see that side of it, but if for $75,000 you could, I don't know, I'm just pulling the numbers out of my hat, you could address 6 roads, right? But for $78,000, you have enough to address 7 roads or 8 roads, or, you know, maybe some minor issues. That's where I don't know that if we throw a number out there, they could absolutely, I 100% agree. You guys could allocate, you know, whatever roads you needed. But we don't know if just a few $1,000s more could service additional roads or not. Because we don't know where that line is. We don't know which roads we're addressing. And that's where it's difficult on both sides.
But you still have to throw that number out there to get a budget. Right? I mean, in order to make a full-blown budget, you still have to have that number. You know, if you got the 80,000 that's in there ready and you add that, you gotta figure out how you're gonna pay for it.
Right.
Or where else you're gonna cut if you wanna add mill levy or whatever. You just,
Or reduce mill levy, and not do it. And, or have a program where if people want to petition for it and pay for partial and have a program where we pay part of it and have our dollars go further, but have people have skin in the game, rather than us saying, yeah, we're gonna take care of it, and then we're gonna complain about the mill levy every year. That's not gonna be a cheap process. And so, yeah, anytime you say, let's throw 50,000 in, okay, let's raise mills and do that, you know, how popular is
Well, I think we're talking about spending our reserve. That's what we're spending into the reserve that we're continuing to add to year over year.
I get that.
You know, it is taxpayer money and it should go back to the community.
Right, let's
That would
lower
be my,
mills then. Let's do it that way.
that doesn't pay for city improvements.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that doesn't,
So the priority list is streets, not on my priority list.
it doesn't, if we, yeah, I mean, ideally, we wouldn't have any taxes and then you could just do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, right. But if you're gonna have streets, you're picking and choosing winners and losers. And when you choose to pay the street, you're gonna have people say, I'd rather have my taxes decreased. I'm just telling you, that's the scenario.
well, I think that on your thought, if those people have a choice whether they wanna go full concrete paving, I think you can petition, if I remember right, just to put curb and gutter in, which will solve a lot of problems. I mean, there's options there, but taxes are so high now, property taxes and stuff, that you're just not gonna get very many people that are gonna petition to concrete the street and fix it like it should be.
Right.
You know, asphalt's fine, but it's short-term and it's expensive to upkeep.
And I think once you get into the budget process, you'll see that fund balance issue clearly as you see where we're at and just understand how important it is to maintain that to a certain level. And there is a point in time where, you know, some cities have policies on their fund balances for each of their funds that, you know, it's 3 months worth of expenses, you know, those kinds of things. But in this case, I think it should be a little bit more, but I don't know. I think we're a little over $1 million carryover in the fund, in the general fund. So I guess my last comment on that is a conversation that is going to happen during your budget process, and you'll see, because you've got coming down the road, you know, mill levy issues with the B culvert project that hasn't even hit the books yet, and you know that's a $2.3 million project, and I haven't got the debt schedule yet on that, but that's going to be several mills, so. So that's all I have on dirt roads, unless, Carrie, you have anything else you wanted to address? I don't,
Any further discussion? All right. On to 8C, Mill Race and Nenasko River update.
this is another fun project that I knew nothing about until I know more, probably dangerously know something, but, so I actually went down and toured it here with the chief last week and got a real picture of what that is all about. And so I called Charles Lohman, he's with Wilson and Company. He was the city's engineer when we did the FEMA flood mitigation project. And also Tyler Glissman called me today, who's got a lot of history on this. And, you know, Charles agreed that he would come down and explain in detail what the city would be looking at if you were to change the diversion of the current mill race in the river. It's a lot different nowadays than when that was originally done. KDOT permitting, or not KDOT, Corps of Engineers and FEMA would be involved. And before they're going to get involved, they're going to want to see, what do you want to do? A set of plans. And so the city would need to probably have an engineer involved to basically lay out what's going to happen and what's going to be the result of the work done. So I don't have a lot of information to really share, other than that if this commission would like to get more detail into that, you could invite Charles down with Wilson and Company to talk with you about it. And it's not as easy as just going down there with a grader, a loader, and moving rock around. It's just really different today than when that was originally built, according to him. So, and there's cost to that, significant cost to that, not only on the actual work, but on the design of what you're actually going to do. So the commission just needs to decide is where you want to go with that. And, you know, we can have him come down, but he's probably going to tell you a little bit about what I told you, but be a little more sophisticated with engineering talk about it. But there would be a cost involved. So
I feel like if we don't do something, the mill race is just going to continue to get wider and wider. And at some point,
Well, I think that you can go in and rip wrap them banks if you.
like, can we do anything without core?
I bet, well, I don't know about, yeah, I mean, riprap to me,
Oh, no.
yeah.
I mean, to fix those banks, I don't think that that's a core issue. I mean, they're gonna tell you, I mean, I know down here on the river, on Eighth Street, it was washing on a guy's property bad, and he did construction, and he checked. You can riff wrap them banks with broken concrete, you know, to fix them, which we're gonna have to do. There's 2 or 3 spots that, you know, I don't know what you're gonna do with the pool, take it out, and riff wrap the.
Use
Use
that
that or-
riprap.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, you're gonna have to do something.
Uh-huh.
It's either fix it or
Yep.
get it out.
But that's not changing the
The
core.
flow.
Nothing with
Yeah.
the flow.
Yeah.
I think they, seems like when we did that FEMA work, did they do some work with the Rocky Dam thing and kind of straighten it up a little bit or something?
The problem is that we had floods in 16, 2 in 18, and 1 in 19. And it changed the river channel. The river channel's now the river channel coming in is moved when it comes into the west end of the fairgrounds. And that's the biggest issue, is the flood changed it, and that's when more water started getting diverted over to the mill race side. It's just, it's the nature of a river, you know, it moves.
And the thing is, you can correct it and get a flood, and you're right back in
Yeah.
the position.
Which is what happened 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Skipped a year, 3 out of 4 years.
Because it come pretty close to running out of the mill race in 18 or 19.
It did come over the mill race
Yeah.
on the west side.
What was that?
Okay.
So if there's interest, I mean, I can reach out to Charles, but, and have him come out at some point in time in the future to, I talk more engineering to you about it. I mean, because I'm not equipped to do that, so.
I think we need to continue to explore it, because if we ignore it, there's too much risk to the park. If it spills over the mill race, we could lose several assets down there at the park. So we need to figure out something. We need to either work through the engineers, we need to figure out costs, we need to be able to budget for it. We need to complete the repairs that are necessary to preserve Riverside Park.
But if it's a major flood, you're gonna go, I can remember times when it, took the fence out on Diamond 2, and the debris was 4 foot up.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of water coming right down through Riverside Park, you know, that was the concern
Right.
the rec had when we put turf down. Well, we haven't had those floods. We come as close in 18 or 19, I don't remember which the worst one was. Midnight or something, we were down there looking to see if it was gonna
They
come.
were all down there watching the water level, yes.
Is there a point when FEMA came back and did that last mitigation, the $800,000 million work, that they say that
They
we're
said
not going to do this
we're not gonna
forever?
Do anything else. That was
Yeah.
the point, is they put in $1 million and they said, we're done doing FEMA work down here.
Because it's in a floodplain, basically.
Floodway.
Floodway, yeah, not a plane, away, yeah.
Floodway.
Well, I think we need to, not so much the flow right now, but there's just areas that if we don't fix those banks, what we're gonna get is what the sidewalks gonna be.
And Wilson should be able to tell us what we can do without talking to.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be valuable, I think, to have Charles come down and just kind of walk everybody through it. It's new to me, and then obviously I wouldn't be around, but it would help educate the whole commission and the community on what are the options down there and what can we do. And but I do think FEMA probably is you're right that, you know, they're only going to fix that so many times. But it was interesting when I went, you know, you, Travis, or Commissioner Kaufman talking about it, and this mill race has been fascinating to me, and so I finally walked down, but I only saw a part of it, and Chief took me down to the west end, and you could really understand where the diversion's coming, and it's an interesting little area down. I really think it is kind of cool. But
But that Minnesota moves so much sand every
Yep.
day that them channels can change a
Yeah.
lot. And a flood just makes it that much different.
and the species, what's the
Darters.
darters? Yeah, shiners, yeah. And it's like a certain time of the year, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know what that all means, but
I think keeping those trees out of the river west of the bridge and then down below, they took that sand out last year. Was that FEMA, part of that FEMA?
oh, that FEMA deal, yeah. Well, I'll communicate with Charles and see what his schedule looks like and what'd be a good time for him to make it down here. I don't know if it'll be anytime soon, but I'll see what his schedule looks like, so.
All right, do we have an executive session?
We do. You got your glasses on. I can read it if you want.
Can you read? Can you read?
Yeah, I can move. Motion for executive session.
Speak up.
I move that the city commission, city manager, city attorney, and attorney Ed Keeley recess into executive session for consultation with city's legal counsel on matter that would be deemed privilege and attorney privilege, relationship pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception at KSA 754319B2. The open meeting will resume in 12 minutes.
There's been a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. All right, coming back from executive session with no action taken. On to number 10, city manager's report.
A couple of things, Mayor, Commission. Hiring, just update on city employee positions. We had several vacancies. Within the last 2 or 3 weeks, we filled 3 positions in the electric department, 1 lineman, 2 operators at the plant, 1 position in public works, and a position in the water department. So, I
Just
think-
curious, is the lineman, is that a certified lineman or is that a ground hand?
He's out of Pratt, which is amazing
Yeah,
to me
okay.
that Tim was able to find him, because those are, they usually get scooped up by the big companies, Evergy's and those, so that's a good get. Park board meeting, special meeting, I don't know, are you gonna talk about that? I'll let you do that, their special meeting. Anyway, they're gonna meet next week. Commissioner Arnsdorf knows more about it, but they're gonna meet with the pickleball people to talk about their needs, so you can comment on that. And then, special meeting, the city commission next Monday. we'll be interviewing city manager candidates, and that starts at 5 o'clock. And then the last thing, I think I got an email from Zach that maybe went to you guys about an LKM league training opportunity. And if anybody's interested in that, let us know. We can get you registered. I think it's in Salina. I think that's where it was at. But and if you haven't ever been to one of those, it's really kind of, because they do it every 2 years. And so particularly if you were just newly on a governing body, you kind of get a little background on open meetings laws, and they do a lot of pretty good stuff, and you get to mingle with some other elected officials and find out how good you have it here. So, yeah.
It's good to go to.
So again, if anybody's interested, let me know. We can get you registered. So, and that is all I have, Mayor.
All right. Commissioner comments. Start over here, Commissioner Arnsdorf.
I really have nothing. That park board meeting we're just meeting with some of the people that are playing pickleball at the Armory now. We've got some interest in putting a pickleball court down in Riverside Park, so it's just a part of the process. So anybody that got any interest would be more than welcome. 6 o'clock Wednesday, I believe it said.
Okay.
So that's all I got.
All right, Commissioner McFarland.
I made a note, but I can't remember. I'll catch it next time when I find my note.
All right.
Or if I find it.
If you find it, we can come back.
Find it before we're done.
Commissioner Wolin.
Just a shout out from West Wing's comment about Fredericksburg, Texas. We've been there, we've been to the Nimitz Museum, super well done. If you ever have a chance to go, do it.
Is that it? All right. Vice Mayor Kaufman.
So just to follow up, after the social media storm from the last commission meeting regarding the tank, I did visit with the VFW. Last week, I visited with the Legion, the American Legion today. Both organizations unanimously voted to support the painting of the tank. They think that it would be a source of pride for the community if we can involve, the more people we can involve, the better. I did lay out a plan for them. I can get into details next week, or next commission meeting, and send it up for approval. But total cost is looking around $1,200 from someone who has done it in another county. They were willing to volunteer their time and materials to help come down and support our efforts. I think it'd be a wonderful opportunity to promote our community and maybe get the media involved, so people would be interested in coming down and seeing it. Thank you.
Okay. I only have a couple things, and I really wanted to talk to Greg tonight, but maybe Carrie or Tim might know this. I know a while back we had talked about the Mill Race Bridge repair, and that Scott McDonald was supposed to come down and do we have any update or when an ETA is on that?
Well, so it was supposed to be done last year, of course, you know the rainfall we got.
Yes.
So, and there's no safe way to keep him dry as long as the water is up.
Can I clarify? She said bridge repair. The bridge repair
Oh, sorry.
is done, the walking bridge.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah.
about the gates.
The gates, yes, thank you.
Gates, yes.
Gates, yeah.
Yeah, the gates.
Yeah, so, until we can find a safe way to get him down and repair a gate, we'll have to look at that.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's gonna involve shutting off the mill race for a time being.
'Cause-
That's something also
Right.
that could be thought about in the future for stabilizing the banks, dredging out the mill race, and fixing the gates and the shop. So that's just something to keep.
Okay,
And-
thank you.
and Charles did mention that, because I brought it up, because Carrie had mentioned it to me, that it's a pretty simple process, he thought, to hold water back while you're making repairs to the gates, I guess it is, yeah, so. Did he? Yeah. Yeah, just a temporary, yeah.
Okay, thank you. The only other thing I had is actually great that you brought these in, Carrie, because on my list actually was to talk about something that Commissioner Kaufman has talked about and it's really like KPIs, but to see a prioritized list of, it's not saying that you're gonna get everything done, but this is your priority. And then we can go back through and be like, hey, guys, this quarter, we knocked all of this off. And I think that would be great to see from all the departments. Just, hey, this is what our plan is. Like I said, it's not saying that we're gonna get it all done, but to see this already laid out, like this is what your plan is, I was really liking to see this.
But I would like to add, so the street department, of course, is the excavation unit, emergency response.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So at
Right
the top of that
Yep.
list, those emergencies,
Yeah.
repairs, all that take precedence.
Absolutely.
over any road work.
No, that completely makes sense. But it is nice to see like, hey, there's a plan somewhere. It's not just in somebody's head, and if somebody's not here tomorrow, like, we have a laid out list. So that was nice to see. Thank you. I don't have anything else. So, you remember?
Give the question, yeah, this question I have about, we're gonna fix the street lights, is that, what is that? Is there something in there we're gonna?
Traffic lights or street?
Traffic lights, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got a grant for the project here on the corner, the KDOT, yeah.
We got the grant, was there any?
That's gonna happen this fairly soon, I think, isn't it? Traffic light project? Yeah, because we had the field site check, I think in January, so yeah, it's still in the works, yeah. Yeah, no, it's planned, and I think they're waiting on comments back on from KDOT on the plans, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was September timeframe, work-wise, so.
All right.
Yeah, I've got 3 of the 4 easements. That's on the other project, but yeah. And the 4th one, I think I'm gonna get now, so, yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion for adjournment? All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Arnsdorf and a second by Commissioner McFarland to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.